Today, we are diving into the world of creative fatigue and how sometimes a strategic pivot can be just what you need. Plus, we got some amazing street photography from my recent trip to Buffalo, New York with the Nikon Zf. Let's get it. This week I am in Buffalo doing some street photography. I got the Nikon Zf. There's some old art deco buildings, so I'm enjoying that. Let's see what we can get. I really like all this art deco stuff, but all this construction is killing me. I'm not gonna lie, man. Everything seems closed down here. So I'm gonna continue looking. It's a cool gallery. I guess it's closed. I'm guessing it's closed. There's a lot of dilapidated buildings here. Fears, regret, and sadness. I love that sign. That sign's amazing. Anyway, I'm gonna put this away and keep doing some street photography. Watch when I find the best shot of the day, so I do that. I'm Wesley, and thank you for joining me today. I just got back from a trip to Buffalo where I had grandiose plans to make a very cinematic video on the experience. Well, American Airlines had other plans. What started off as a smooth trip connecting in Chicago quickly turned for the worse. As I was boarding, we got hit with a 30-minute delay that quickly turned into a 4-hour delay. And then the plane was deemed broken. So once they switched planes, finally got boarded, and I got into Buffalo around 2 a.m. And I still had a 2-hour drive to reach my hotel. Well, needless to say, after only 3 hours of sleep and an 8-hour meeting the next day, my mind was melting. And because of that, my creative mojo just wasn't there. Now, I recently said sometimes you got to pull up your bootstraps and get out there. And well, I did. But the quality of the video suffered. I just had a hard time managing the photos and the video while dealing with severe fatigue. So I put the Action 4 away and I really just focused on using the Nikon Zf with this 40mm f2 and the black diffusion, and the results were quite amazing. I limited myself to what I could handle, and being in front of the camera just wasn't one of them. So I made the decision to just focus solely on photography. And you know what? It was a game changer. It really was. Speaking of the Nikon Zf, it continues to be a street workhorse. I've never had to worry about autofocus while using AFC with the tracking box like some other cameras that I own that I'm not going to mention because I don't want the haters to come out. I just hover the focus box over the subject, and then I can move the camera, recompose with the shutter half pressed, and then take the shot. And it nails it almost every time. I mean, there was an occasion where it would lose the subject and hunt for it again, and I'd have to recompose, but that was really the exception and definitely not the norm. So combined with the black diffusion filter, like I mentioned before, and this 40mm, the images were fantastic. And I'm starting to really dial in my preset, bringing these images a lot closer to my Nikon Fe 35mm film camera. I generally stuck to manual mode, sometimes aperture priority. I have my ISO locked to 100, and I adjusted my shutter or aperture to achieve exposure. It was just a few hours before sunset, and the light was hitting down the streets perpendicular to the sun. And this is something I talked about in a recent video of mine, and I'll link that up here or here. I'll link that up here. And a recent video I talked about on how golden hour doesn't matter when it comes to street photography. And just like in that video, I went out a few hours before golden hour to try to get these shots that I talked about. And this produced images with dynamic light that really highlighted the subject on many of the photos. I mean, like I mentioned, in that other video, light's a great way to do this. But there's no guarantee that you'll always get light if you're passing by a fantastic composition. So, in short, take the shot. Either way, light isn't the only part of a photo, but it certainly helps. This is art, and a great composition can be there with or without the dynamics of good light. Remember, just because there are rules to composition doesn't mean that those rules aren't meant to be broken after all. This is art. Thanks for joining me today, and if you like street photography and you love travel, it sounds like we have a lot in common. So consider hitting that subscribe button and sticking around. I really appreciate it, guys. I really do. As an introvert, I need to be in the right mindset to be on my game when I'm in front of the camera. But for photography, well, I just put my headphones in, I walk, I observe, and I'm in the moment. I'm not worried about, having to have a good face and, nothing on here and all the other issues you do when you're filming. I'm just in the moment, not worrying about what I said or how I explained that or if I had my audio correct or light or all those things. And once I just listened to my body, I had an amazing time. Creativity comes in all forms, and if you're not in the mindset for it, your work will show. You have to listen to your body. I've seen a lot of YouTubers fizzle out. From what I can gather, the burnout from pushing yourself over and over past your limitations, it's just not good for you. Buffalo is a gritty but beautiful place for street photography. The old buildings, quirky shops, and friendly locals create a unique atmosphere. Many of the businesses were closed down, and there was a lot of construction, a lot of things, a ton of dilapidated buildings, and it makes for great street photography, but you can certainly tell there appears to be a serious need to revitalize the downtown area of Buffalo. In trying to find dinner, as a matter of fact, there were many restaurants that were closed until Friday or until the weekend. And I imagine this is due to low sales during the week because there's just a lack of that vibrant downtown environment that you often see in larger cities. I mean, it made it a little tougher to find food, but I found this cool gin bistro, I believe it's called Gray Lens. Let me get back to my point. Think about this. A creative mind is one that often creates something from nothing. You're not executing a known process. You're making something from scratch. And that takes so much brain power. While I still believe that you have to push yourself sometimes to be creative, and often doing that will bring the motivation you need, you still need to listen to your body. And once I did, my creativity flourished on this trip. By limiting myself to what I could handle, I was able to truly appreciate the moment and capture the city's unique character. Sometimes it's okay to let go of the grand plans and just focus on the simple pleasure of creating and the limitations of what your mind can do in that moment. Creativity is a delicate balance. Sometimes you need to push yourself to your limits, while other times you need to listen to your body and take a break. And by finding that balance, you can create some amazing work despite the fatigue. The creative mindset is a mystery, but we all know it thrives on a mix of inspiration, hard work, and rest. It's important to give yourself time to recharge and your mental clarity to get to a point where you can create and explore new ideas even when you're feeling stuck. If you're feeling creatively burnt out, don't be afraid to take a step back, reassess. And if you're a fan of street photography or just love new cities, Buffalo was definitely worth a visit. All right, let me know in the comments if you've ever been to Buffalo or if you're planning a trip there, and let me know some good places for my next trip. All right, guys, that's it for this one. I hope you enjoyed the photos, and I hope the message resonates with you. And if it does, consider giving me a thumbs up on the video. And if you're considering giving me a thumbs down, drop a comment and let's discuss what you don't like about the video. I'd love to know. Keep it kind, though. I want this to be a community where we can discuss things and enjoy each other's opinions and, just have a good, kind environment. All right. I'll see you later. Peace.